All right, fam, welcome back to Fluent AF. Today, I want to start with something a little uncomfortable. Humans are obsessed with death. And not just dying, but murder, serial killers, crime documentaries, podcasts you fall asleep to where someone's like, and then they found the body. And listen, I'm not judging. I've watched Jeffrey Dahmer, but here's what I started thinking. If we're all so obsessed with death, why do we talk about it so carefully? Why don't we just say they died or they were killed? Someone murdered them. Why do we say things like passed away, no longer with us, officer involved shooting? And that's when it hit me. This isn't just about death. It's about language. Because every culture experiences death, but not every culture talks about it the same way. So today, we're talking about the language of death, how language softens it, how it hides it, how it explains it, and sometimes how it turns it into myth. So let's start soft, literally. Most languages don't like to say die. English, especially. We say passed away, no longer with us, expired, very hospital, very CVS receipt coded. Lost them. Lost them where? At Target? The astral plane? Language gives us a cushion because saying died feels final, harsh, cold. And now let's jump languages. In Spanish, falleció, which comes from to fail, or se nos fue, he, she left us. In Italian, è venuto a mancare, he came to be missing, or she came to be missing. That's poetic, sad, very Catholic. In Russian, smirt, not so much. Russian is more direct. Death is treated like a fact, not an emotional event. No linguistic fluff, no soft landing. And none of these are better or worse. They just show us something important. Language regulates grief. It tells us how much emotion is allowed, how much distance we're supposed to keep, how close we're allowed to get to the truth. And now let's get uncomfortable again. Because death language changes real fast depending on who did the killing. English media loves euphemisms when power is involved. We don't say police killed someone. We say an officer involved shooting occurred. Involved? Like the officers just showed up and bullets started freestyling? We don't say civilians were killed. We say collateral damage, which sounds like furniture to me. We also don't say domestic terrorism. We say lone wolf. Language doesn't just describe death. It assigns responsibility or erases it. And here's where it gets interesting cross-culturally. Some languages grammatically force you to name the actor. Others allow you to hide them. She was killed. Se murió. Murió. Who did it? Language lets us blur guilt, and societies use that very strategically. That's not grammar. That's power. And now let's talk about the thing everyone's secretly here for. Serial killers. Why do some cultures turn killers into legends and others barely name them? In the US, we name them, we nickname them, we give them documentaries, merch, which is really concerning. In other cultures, the focus stays on victims, or the name is avoided altogether. Because naming is powerful. To name someone is to remember them, repeat them, sometimes glorify them. Language decides who becomes a monster, a myth, a cautionary tale, or a statistic. And once again, language creates distance. If death becomes a story, we don't have to feel it in our bodies. Some cultures don't soften death, they avoid it. In some indigenous traditions, you don't speak the dead's name. And not out of fear, but out of respect. In some families, death isn't discussed at all. No processing, no words, just silence. But silence is language, and it tells you, this is too big. This is dangerous. This is sacred. This is unresolved. Language loss, cultural trauma, unspoken grief, all of it lives right there in what we say and what we refuse to. So here's the thing. Death exists everywhere, but language decides whether we face it, soften it, hide it, or turn it into myth. And maybe that's why we're so obsessed with murder stories, because language lets us touch death without letting it touch us back, of course. So here's my thought experiment for the week. I want to ask you, what does your language do with death? Does it cushion it? Does it confront it? Does it avoid it completely? And what does it say about how your culture deals with truth? That's the language of death. And yeah, that was Fluent AF. Keep listening, like, share, subscribe, follow, but don't kill it. Dale.